Squirtle, Squirtle. Pikachu.
Hi everyone, it's that special time of year. The air is cold, the sawsbuck are changing, and you can hear sleigh bells jingling. Bad puns aside, we want to thank you all so much for the last year. It's so hard to believe that just this time last year, the first episode of our main history series was taking off, and we learned there really was an audience for the competitive history of the Pokemon TCG. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, whether you gather around a Christmas Trevenant, or light the Litwick on a Menorah or a Kanara, or are just preparing to ring in the new year, we want to take a moment to celebrate the season and the Pokemon history that it brings. I'm the Ruby Retro Historian, and this is our holiday special. Pokemon has been a part of the holiday season all the way back to the release of Red and Blue in 1998, where kids had the joy of opening their first Pokemon games on Christmas morning, and then the added thrill of cracking packs, starting with the release of the TCG in 1999. While many of us might have outgrown getting packs in our stockings and would rather just buy the singles we need, I, like so many others, lived that thrill throughout the TCG's many eras. Many players are thrilled every year to see what concoction their favorite content creators have brewed up just to celebrate the holiday season. Just last year, we posted this Base to Neo list to our Twitter account. The link's in the description if you're not already following us, by the way. We called this deck Present after the unconventional, yet seasonally appropriate inclusion of Delibird from Neo Revelation. Because of the inclusion of Delibird, this list is definitely a lower tier meta contender in the format, but it's able to take advantage of many of the powerful cards of the era, like Sneasel and Double Colorless Energy. In addition to Erica's Jigglypuff, Delibird can also take quick KOs with Present. Well, if you hit 1 or 3 heads when flipping for its attack, that is. Otherwise, you risk healing your opponent instead. Delibird likely comes to mind for many viewers as the most obvious holiday Pokemon because it carries presents around in its tail. And if you didn't know that already, yes, that is in fact its tail. But there are so many others that definitely fit this time of year. Many of our viewers are undoubtedly familiar with Kyle Pukasukovich. Well, before he worked for the Pokemon Company International, Puka ran the YouTube channel The Top Cut, alongside many of the other great minds of the TCG. During the Top Cut's run, Puka revealed a few creations special just for the holidays. In 2012, Puka released his first deck that featured plenty of holiday staples besides Delibird, including cards like Beartic, Bronzong, and Cryogonal. Who doesn't love a deck of Arctic Pokemon alongside a chorus of bells? And to top it all off, the deck features one of my favorite Beartic of all time, with its sheer cold attack, as a callback to Puka's iconic Walrein deck from Worlds 2004. Though there isn't much synergy here, I think the spirit of the season definitely brings these Pokemon together for a spirited celebration, and plenty of fun and good cheer. Puka was back in full force during the 2013 holiday season with this Empoleon deck. This deck definitely capitalized on the newfound powers of Stage 2s, given that Pokemon Catcher had just been errated to require a coin flip for its Gust effect instead of being automatic, like its original printing. Bringing back plenty of holiday Pokemon seen in his 2012 list, Puka opted to include the 3 ghosts from A Christmas Carol in the form of Cofagrigus, Mismagius, and Dusknoir. The deck even runs Cedric Juniper, which has gotta be one of the silliest cards ever printed. It asks your opponent to name the height of a face-down Pokemon, and if they guess it right, they draw 3. Otherwise, you do. Why not just run Charon? Well, what kind of holiday fun would that be? Incredibly, Puka wins a game 4-0 with this deck, using Bronzong to take the final 2 prizes against Mewtwo EX. He didn't even need the help of Empoleon to close this one out. If that's not the magic of Christmas, I'm honestly not sure what is. Puka's last holiday deck brings some new faces to the holiday party, including Aurorus from Furious Fist and its Ice Shield ability to protect his water Pokemon from damage combined with the tool card Hard Charm. Remember, there are no Ice-type Pokemon in the TCG, so all water types benefit from Aurorus' protective shield. If you're wondering how this deck gets restored Pokemon into play without running Sail Fossil, Fossil Researcher places 2 Amora onto your bench, making it Puka's supporter of choice for the first turn. The list also opts for the power of the Plasma Engine, running a Colress Machine package to power up Articuno EX, whose attack can paralyze if it has a Plasma Energy attached. Using this deck, Puka handily defeated a Seismitoad EX deck. In fact, his opponent forfeited the game because he realized his Quaking Punches were hitting for 0 damage, thanks in no small part to Ice Shield stacking to reduce damage dealt by 40 to his water Pokemon. If you want to follow in Puka's footsteps and run your own holiday deck, you definitely have an easier time in today's meta by running the obvious choice, Chien Pao. But fun holiday decks aren't the only TCG history we're surrounded with this time of year. Many players will undoubtedly associate this time of year with the grind of City Championships. The precursor to League Cups, City Championships originally occurred from February to March during Nintendo's first season running competitive organized play in 2004. For the following season, cities were pushed back to November and lasted until January, where they would remain until the events were retired in 2016. For those players who are only familiar with League Cups taking place over multiple quarters, well, the original cities were jammed into a few non-stop months of action. And while Cups are an important part of earning an invite to the World Championship, cities used to be able to earn you an invite outright. Prior to the advent of championship points in 2011, Pokemon operated on an ELO system, where players earned points for wins and lost points for losses. Each event was assigned a K value, which determined how many points the event gave for a win or a loss. With a K value of 16, each win against an evenly matched opponent increased your rating by 8 points. This heavy weighting resulted in huge swings for each win or loss. Many players' ratings would shoot well into the 1700s during a city's run from an initial starting point of only 1600. You have to remember, during this era, players qualified for Worlds by being ranked in the top 40 of North America. Oftentimes, those players hit and held ratings of 1800 and up. So, by weighting cities so heavily, this encouraged players to rack up tons of wins at cities and then sit out the rest of the season, or only play a select few rounds at each major tournament, then drop from the event at an X&O record just to avoid losses and losing points. There's plenty of stories of players entering state, regional, and even national championships, going 3-0 and then just calling it a day just to preserve their rating. Misaligned incentives aside, cities were regarded as the first true competitive testing ground in a player's season. It was also a time when the format was beginning to be more fleshed out, adding a second set to the format since the season beginning rotation. Because of their competitive nature and the need to grind tournaments, organizers devised marathons of cities, often held during the week between Christmas and New Year's. Tournaments would be held back to back to back. This enticed players to travel far and wide, seeking entry into a continuous lineup of city championships, all for a shot at earning an early Worlds invitation. Perhaps the most famous marathon is the Georgia Marathon, attended by players far and wide, and inspiring organizers to have marathons of their own elsewhere in the country. From what I can find, the first Georgia Marathon took place in 2009, just after the release of Platinum Arceus. Marathon fever would soon spread to other states during the next few years, including Florida, where, thanks to the filming of the Top Cut, we have tournament footage of many of the great matches played, featuring players like Jason Klasinski piloting Durant, Orion Craig and Michael Pramawat playing Magnezone Electric, and Harrison Levin with his Chandelure Vileplume deck. I vividly remember watching these videos when they originally came out. I was enamored watching high-level gameplay with players piloting the decks that I loved, especially Magnezone. I turn these videos on and watch them continuously as I work to refine my own deck lists. They offer great insight from Puka's commentary as players like myself revisit this format and work to rebuild its decks. But the TCG during the holidays isn't all about competitive players, nor is it strictly about Delibird. Sure, plenty of us cracked packs and rejoiced at the promos we pulled from blister packs and tins, but just how many of these cards were actually holiday themed? Upon reviewing the thousands of cards printed, the only ones I can find that aren't just wintry, but have some holiday cheer are Flaffy from Expedition and Delibird from Chilling Reign. Maybe Jumpluff from Neo Revelation also fits the bill, given the snowman and its artwork, but otherwise, no other true holiday cards have been released in the West. Now look, I'm not saying we need Pokemon to release a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Stantler, but it would be fun to see them print holiday-specific cards. Starting in 2006, Wizards of the Coast has annually distributed holiday Magic the Gathering cards to both its business partners and its staff during holiday parties. Cards like Fruitcake Elemental and Top Deck the Halls really capture the essence of the holidays. Even Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a few holiday cards, like Santa Claus and O Token Bomb, both of which are featured in its advent calendars. Many viewers are likely aware that Pokemon has attempted to mimic these holiday calendars, releasing calendars of their own with special snowflake printings of cards and 3-card booster packs for daily excitement. Pokemon's first attempt at a calendar came in 2022, and was of course Delibird themed, featuring special printings of Abomasnow, Beartic, Delibird, Lapras, Ice-Q V, and Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX, along with some great holiday stickers and coins. If it feels weird to you to hear me saying VMAX in a Ruby Retro video, yeah, you're not alone. We'll get to that era one day. Anyways, this year Pokemon again released a similar calendar, with Glaceon, Snom, and Alolan Vulpix featured. The calendar was similar in the daily packs and promo cards it contained, but this time the promos were Cryogonal, Glastrier, Pikachu, Snom, Stantler, Alolan Vulpix V, and Glaceon VMAX. But what if I were to tell you that Pokemon tried an advent calendar well before these releases, creating one all the way back in 2008 during the Diamond and Pearl era? That's right, the first ever Pokemon advent calendar was released for the holiday season in October of 2008, just before the release of Stormfront. The reason you may not be familiar with it is because of its limited release, coming out only in Belgium, Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, and Norway. There are also reports of Italian printings of these calendars, but those remain uncorroborated. Unlike the more recent calendars, this one contained no 3-card packs. In fact, those didn't even exist yet, not coming out until the release of Black and White in 2011. Instead, the calendar only contained one full booster pack, but came with 24 unique cards, each with a gold snowflake stamped on the card. Except for Pikachu, which had a silver snowflake. While the exact order of the cards appears to be randomized, I have to believe that this Pikachu was the card opened on Christmas Eve. The fact that there are only a few openings of this product on YouTube should tell you just how rare it is. Each day, you would pull back a cardboard strip to reveal that day's card. As you can see from this video, the cards weren't exactly easy to remove. Many of them came out severely damaged, looking like the Pringle-like cards we see in this video. That's why, if you look up these cards on websites like eBay or TCG Player, they're incredibly expensive, and most are in moderately played condition or worse. Any of these cards that are mint are definitely rare. But who cares about the economics behind the cards? Let's see what was actually in the calendar. The calendar contains cards printed in the first 5 sets of the Diamond and Pearl block. So, Diamond and Pearl, Mysterious Treasures, Secret Wonders, Great Encounters, and Majestic Dawn. And no, don't get your hopes up. There are no Claydol's or Call Energy in here. In fact, there are no trainers or energy cards to speak of, instead including all Sinnoh Pokemon, with the obvious exception of Pikachu. Like the new calendars, the cards don't have special set symbols or numbering. Instead, they're just exact copies of their original printings. The only way you can tell them apart is because of the signature snowflake demarcation. Only 3 of the 24 cards are rare. Obama Snow as a grass type instead of the wintry water type like its Stormfront counterpart, and one of the few water type printings of Weavile. This Weavile is probably the most competitively viable card in the entire collection, thanks to its Shadow Charge attack and Poke Power. But then again, I doubt anyone was really buying this for its competitive value. I mean, come on, the third rare is Glaceon, and it's not even the Snowcloak one. It's the theme deck version with far worse attacks and arguably worse art. 5 of the cards feature the unique Generation 4 mechanic of held items, with each holding a berry that provides some benefit to the Pokemon. This is likely a reference to a Pokemon holding an item when you catch it, like a present of sorts. But alas, there's no Delibird in this set, so no true presents were to be had. Other cards that definitely add some holiday spirit are Munchlax and his chronic overeating, much like I do at Christmas dinner. Combee for the honey-baked hams so many of us consume. Chingling for the choir of the bells. Gabite for its gather-up attack, like a gathering of presents under the tree or a gathering of people for the holiday. And Snover, well, for obvious reasons. I feel like there was a real missed opportunity not to include a Bronzong, either from Mysterious Treasures or Majestic Dawn, because, well, it's a literal bell. But at least Bronzer is here as a Christmas ornament, or with its dull light attack as a dimming of the holiday lights when the evening grows late. Kricketot is in here as a callback to the little-known Christmas story, The Cricket on the Hearth, or perhaps as a reference to Jiminy Cricket, who's oftentimes referred to in the form of Jiminy Christmas. Also here is Glameow, because, well, what cat doesn't like playing with the Christmas tree and its ornaments, or at least lying under it and taking in the whole scene? Happiny probably made the list for its lively attack as the life of the office Christmas party. Wait a minute, it's a baby Pokemon? Oh, okay, well, if you're a 90s kid, you're probably familiar with the Rugrats Christmas or Hanukkah specials, so I rest my case. Besides these cards, and the obvious inclusion of Pikachu as the face of the franchise, I'm not really sure what a lot of the rest of these are doing in here. The only thing I can think of is that Pokemon wanted fans to appreciate Generation 4 Pokemon more. Riolu, Buizel and Floatzel, Skorupi, Stunky, and Burmy? I'm honestly not really sure. I guess Burmy is some kind of quasi-Christmas plant, but I'm not really seeing it as a poinsettia or anything. It'd have to be Wormadam for that. And even then, the flowers are still the wrong color. Let us know in the comments section why you think this collection of Pokemon were included in the Advent calendar, because, well, I'm at a loss. Whatever the case, Advent calendars certainly aren't the only products Pokemon has released during the holidays. Pokemon copied Yu-Gi-Oh's idea of holiday tins, and over the years has released plenty with a mix of fan favorites, like the Hoenn Legendary tins during the EX era, and the Johto starters in their prime forms during the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. What kid doesn't love opening these up to get a new promo card and a plethora of packs, and then they have a new container to store their cards in? Or for us grown-ups, packs are fantastic stocking stuffers, especially those 3-card ones from the dollar store. I always enjoyed when my mom snuck a few into my stocking for Christmas morning. The thought of Pokemon in the holidays, it just fills me with nostalgia, and it takes me back to a much simpler time. However you celebrate this time of year, and whatever role Pokemon plays in it, we here at Ruby Retro want to wish you the very best and express our gratitude for being a part of your holiday season. Without a doubt, this is one of the busiest times of the year, so we can't thank you enough for taking some time to relax and watch our content. And want you to rest easy knowing that our main history series is picking up right where it left off in the new year, with Pokemon's first ever rotation and the ensuing Team Rocket On format. Trust me when I say it's an episode you don't want to miss. This is the Ruby Retro Historian signing off and wishing you and your friends and your family a safe and happy holiday. We'll see you soon in the new year. Cheers to 2024.